Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. I'm going to give you the latest status of the stimulus negotiations. What are the things that are being said right now? What are the small things that are emerging that are indicative of what we are likely to see as far as stimulus is concerned? I'll tell you right now, more and more support is emerging amongst both Republicans and Democrats that the next round of stimulus should be more targeted. I did mention earlier that the proposal was that individuals earning more than $75,000 a year should not get any further stimulus, and individuals making less than $75,000 a year should get some form of stimulus. I also reported that the director of the White House Economic Council, Brian Deese, there he is. Hello, Brian. How are you? Is speaking with many Republican senators. You'll see this list of Republican senators right here. And he's speaking with many Democratic senators. You'll see the entire list of Democratic senators right here. And he was speaking with both of them. But it seems like more and more senators are now complaining that while the Biden administration, again, led by Brian Deese, the director of the White House Economic Council, is trying to project the importance of bipartisan talks, they are simultaneously pursuing the reconciliation process. And so, this, in their mind, could be a gesture of bad faith. In fact, it was reported by Punchbowl News that there's frustration on the Republican side that the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, as well as President Biden and the Democrats appear headed towards a one party approach, appear headed towards a reconciliation approach towards stimulus. This anger is very acute as far as Senator Susan Collins from Maine is concerned, Senator Rob Portman from Ohio, and Senator Lisa Murkowski, the Republican from Alaska. On your screen, you'll see a quote from Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. She said, I think it would be wise for the new administration to work to try to get a bipartisan proposal that can be moved through. I think that speaks exactly to President Joe Biden's comments just a week ago. Now it seems like it's been longer than a week, but he's been sworn in for a week now. That's basically a long way of saying, hey, it's just been a week since President Biden became the president, since he was sworn in. Why are they already trying to ditch the bipartisan talks? It's only been a week. Engage with us, work with us. Let's do something that's bipartisan. And Senator Lisa Murkowski also said, and he spoke to unity and working together. Well, we're giving an opportunity to work together on important and timely legislation. So why wouldn't you do that rather than trying to move it through with reconciliation and having a fully partisan product? In other words, she's saying, hey, if you folks jam it through, it'll only be what the Democrats want and the Republicans will be left out of this important piece of legislation. Folks, the problem for the Republicans is that the Democrats are ready to just go it alone. They're ready to get things done. We have the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, who has alluded to reconciliation. We have President Biden, who's alluded to reconciliation. Today, we had House Speaker Pelosi, who alluded to reconciliation. And of course, Bernie Sanders. We all know Bernie. There's Bernie. Hello, Bernie. Has been very clear about using reconciliation and raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now, here's what Bernie Sanders said. By the way, Bernie Sanders is going to be the incoming chair of the Senate Budget Committee. So he's going to be in a very powerful position, and he wants to include a minimum wage increase up to $15 an hour and a host of other initiatives in this reconciliation package. And Bernie is arguing that the time to do it is right now. And he says that, most Americans are suffering. And I've mentioned this before on my channel. Individuals in travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality are suffering the most. Here's a quote on your screen from Bernie Sanders. And Bernie says, the minimum wage has got to be raised to $15. We think that that can be done by reconciliation, and I think I can get that done. That is what Bernie Sanders told reporters yesterday. In short, it's very clear that the Democrats are willing to leave the Republicans behind. As you know, right now, the balance of power in the United States Senate is 50 Democrats and it's 50 Republicans, with Vice President Kamala Harris having the tie-breaking vote. So, at this point in time, it looks like using the process of reconciliation, the Democrats will just jam things through. In fact, Speaker Pelosi sent a letter to other members of the Democratic caucus in the past 24 hours. And in the letter, Speaker Pelosi said this. I'm quoting Speaker Pelosi. On the legislative front, we are grateful to our committee chairs who are working on COVID relief legislation as a basis for reconciliation, should that step be needed. We hope and expect Republicans in Congress will support assistance that will bring relief to their communities. But the need for action could not be more urgent, and Democrats will not take any tools off the table as to how the House and Senate can get this package done. I find it very interesting that now the Democrats have control, that House Speaker Pelosi, yeah, this needs to be done now. We're going to use reconciliation. We had the opportunity to do a massive $1.9 trillion package before the election, and how Speaker Pelosi kept arguing about the language over that package. And so, folks, speaking of Speaker Pelosi and speaking of her press conference today, we actually have segments from her press conference that I'm going to show you. We actually identified the segments that are specific to the Democrats' position, specifically Speaker Pelosi's announcements about what's going to happen as far as reconciliation and future stimulus is concerned. In this first segment, Speaker Pelosi says that we will pass a reconciliation bill if we need it. All options, all tools are on the table. A show of force, a show of power from Speaker Pelosi. And keep in mind that the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, there he is, hello Chuck, has also pretty much said the same thing in recent interviews that I have highlighted on the channel. So it's very clear that Speaker Pelosi is essentially having a plan B, having an ace up her sleeve in case the bipartisan talks go well. And something tells me that even if the bipartisan talks go well, the Democrats will say, hey, the Republicans are not supporting the American people, and we're going to get this done. We're going to pass reconciliation, because they know how important an early success is for the Biden administration and for their long-term plans to control the Senate and control the House. In fact, what the Democrats are doing is politically trying to take advantage of this situation and say, hey, we've come to the rescue. We are the saviors of the American people. And also try and paint the Republicans as being against law and order if they don't vote for the conviction of former President Trump. I've said this before. Politics is all about timing. It's all about opportunity. Right now, the timing for the Democrats is to try and prove that, hey, we are the ones who are going to pass major stimulus, and it's the Republicans who are letting go of an opportunity to hold the former president accountable. And the Republicans, on the other hand, will say, hey, this is an act of political vengeance. That is how politics is played. So let's take a look at comments from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, where she says, we will pass a reconciliation bill if we need it. All tools are on the table. Let's watch.
Legislatively, those are executive orders. Legislatively, we have been working. I'm very proud of our committees who are diligently working on the coronavirus relief legislation as a basis for reconciliation, should that be needed. We will pass a reconciliation bill under leadership in our House of John Yarmouth, Mr. Sanders in the Senate. We will pass a reconciliation bill if we need it. We would hope that we would have bipartisan cooperation to meet the needs of the American people in terms of their health, in terms of distribution in an equitable way of the vaccine, continue with testing, tracing, treatment, etc., but also to meet their economic needs. So we would hope that, but we're not taking any tools off the table, should they not. While our committees are advancing this reconciliation legislation, at the same time the executive actions continue. Today's executive action will open up the ACA's enrollment period and take additional steps to expand health care.
And speaking of impeachment and speaking about political opportunity, House Speaker Pelosi did chime in on her thoughts about the impeachment trial, and she basically said Trump must be tried and convicted and a trial has to happen, which again is the same position as a Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Let's roll the tape and hear what Speaker Pelosi had to say about the trial, the impeachment trial of former President Trump. Let's roll the tape.
This trial is about the protection of the Constitution and the preservation of our republic. We will insist upon the integrity and fairness of the proceedings, recognizing the role that the Senate plays in all of this. No one is above the law, not even a president of the United States, and Trump must be tried and convicted to ensure that no future president will ever think it's okay to incite insurrection, to stop the ascertainment of who the next president of the United States will be by falsely inflaming people falsely about the outcome of the election.
And in the third segment, Speaker Pelosi said something that she has always said before. She talked about leverage. She said we have more leverage if the other side knows that we have other options, if we have a backup plan, if we have an alternative. And she said we are not going to surrender to the Republicans. Again, these comments echo what the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has said. And he basically said, hey, I'm the leader of the Senate. Mitch McConnell's no longer the leader of the Senate. So you can see that the Democrats are pretty much gearing up to do what they want to do, what they need to do, both for the economy and politically. Let's roll the tape. And here's Speaker Pelosi saying we have more leverage if the other side knows we have an alternative. Pretty upfront comments. Let's see what she had to say. Let's roll the tape.
Do you believe that you say reconciliation is a backstop, that you'd rather have a bipartisan bill.
Yes, always.
But it sounds like you're not optimistic that will happen. Is that a correct?
Well, we have to be ready. I do think that we have more leverage getting cooperation on the other side if they know we have an alternative as well. But I would think if we're talking about additional funding for vaccines to be, and their not only production but their distribution, if we're talking about putting money into the pockets of the American people with the direct payments, if we're talking about supporting state and local government so that they're able to implement all these things, open our schools, our healthcare workers, our police and fire, first responders, our teachers, transportation, sanitation, food workers. I would hope that the Republicans would be supportive of that. Many of the localities that will benefit have Republican mayors and Republican county executives. So I would hope that we would be able to do it in a bipartisan way. And again, I've said if there's an argument that needs to be made to people that we need more funding for the vaccines, more distribution resources, more of the vials and syringes and all that make it happen, I think many of the Republicans would be supportive of that, and I hope so. But we cannot not have it happen. We have to act, and that is why I said we want it to be bipartisan always, but we can't surrender if they're not going to be doing that. Instead, we will pass it. Thank you all very much.
So, folks, let me know what you think of Speaker Pelosi's comments, pretty significant comments about a show of force, if you will. I've mentioned this before. Politics is about timing. It's about opportunity. There are different players here who are trying to time things to perfection, and that is the game that is perpetually going to be played in Washington. In fact, today, House Speaker Pelosi actually commented on this whole situation, and you'll see this tweet on your screen from Heather Cagle from Politico. And Heather said, and quoted House Speaker Pelosi in her weekly presser, she said, "We will pass a reconciliation bill if we need to." Folks, it does not get any clearer than that. She said, "We would hope that we would have bipartisan cooperation, but we're not taking any tools off the table should they not," meaning should the Republicans not play ball. And folks, now this is also important. Here's a tweet on your screen from Jeff Stein from the Washington Post. And Jeff is quoting Jared Bernstein. And Jared Bernstein is a member of the Council of Economic Advisors for President-elect Biden. So he's a White House economist. Jared Bernstein said this. Folks, this is very important. He said, "I have looked very closely at the distributional impacts of these checks. I can tell you they have a bigger impact than some of these discussions would suggest. By better, I mean more targeted." In short, Bernstein is saying that we need to send out more stimulus checks, and the stimulus checks help those who are at the middle or lower income levels. They do not help those at higher income levels. I did do another video yesterday where I talked about individuals who were really suffering economically. Then when they got the $600 checks, they spent it immediately. But individuals who did not need the money, they got the $600 checks, they saved most of it. So what Bernstein is saying is money needs to go to those who need it the most, because they need to put food on the table, they need to pay rent, they need to keep the lights on. And this makes a whole lot of sense. And folks, speaking of news, here's a quote on your screen. And by the way, this is quoted by Nora News, who works with CNN. And Nora actually quoted Senator Dick Durbin, the Democrat from Illinois. He said he agrees with Joe Manchin, the Democrat from West Virginia. I call him the conservative Democrat. And Senator Susan Collins from Maine, who is essentially the centrist Republican. Dick Durbin said he agrees with Senator Joe Manchin, the Democrat, and Senator Susan Collins from Maine that the stimulus payments need to be more targeted. Folks, I think the writing is on the wall. The next round of stimulus is most likely going to be more targeted unless the Democrats say, you know what, we're just going to get it done. We're going to pass it through reconciliation, and we don't care for the thresholds. If this is going to be bipartisan, it does look that individuals above a certain income threshold, we don't know what the income threshold is, but let's just say that income threshold is $75,000. So if you make more than $75,000, you'll get nothing. If you make less than $75,000, you will get more stimulus checks, presumably the entire $1,400. We'll know. Right now, all of these talks are in the discussion stage. Remember, the way this works is first you have a proposal. And right now we have the proposal, the American Rescue Plan. I believe that proposal is going to be tweaked. Then the proposal becomes a bill. or an actual plan, and then once that bill is through the House and through the Senate, then it becomes law when it's signed by the president. So you have proposal, bill, law. Right now, the American Rescue Plan from President Biden is a proposal that is being discussed with all these Republican senators, with all these Democratic senators, by the director of the White House Economic Council, Brian Deese. There he is. So right now, it is a proposal. Once that proposal becomes a bill, which passes both the House and the Senate, you have the House right here, and you have the Senate right here. So again, once the proposal becomes a bill and passes both the House and the Senate, and then it goes to the desk of the President of the United States. There he is, President Biden, and when he signs it, that's when it becomes law. So remember, we're still waiting for the law. It's going to take some time, I believe. We'll see a law in the middle of March, but very important comments from Senator Dick Durbin, the Democrat from Illinois. He said, and I'm quoting Senator Dick Durbin, frankly, it rewards some families who are very well off, and that was never our intention. I think we can change it. Folks, this is from a Democrat. He says, I think we can change it. Joe Manchin is right. Susan Collins is right in setting that. We should take that advice on a bipartisan basis and make that change. Wow. Folks, this is the big push for targeted stimulus from centrist Democrats, from conservative Democrats, and we'll see whether this makes its way through the rest of the Democratic leadership, including individuals like House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. You'll get a link to all of our resources in the description section below. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. This right here is some information about me. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. You're watching the Ignition Time channel. I welcome you to our channel. The thing that's unique about this channel is we cover the country, we cover the economy, and by extension, the impact that all of these things have on your money. I encourage you to please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That helps out the YouTube algorithm. Also, tell your friends and family about us. Share this video with just 2 friends or family members. That would be amazing. One of the unique things about our channel is we always provide a link in the description section below to all our resources, because you can dig deeper into these news stories for yourself. We do all the research so you don't have to, and that is our commitment to you on behalf of me and my team and everyone behind the scenes at this channel. We release videos every single day. We release videos that help you understand the state of politics. What's going on in the White House with President Biden? What's going on in the House with House Speaker Pelosi? What's going on in the Senate with the new Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and the bane of his existence, the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell? You will understand everything that's going on in the complex chessboard, this chess sequence where the key players are the President, the House Speaker, the Senate Majority Leader, and the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. I help you understand what's going on in the complex world of Washington, D.C., so you can make sense of all of this for yourself. Follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Follow us on Twitter as well. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Here's my Twitter handle. You'll see that our Twitter community is growing very rapidly. I invite you to join us on our Twitter community, because you'll see what I'm reading, you'll be able to engage with me, and I retweet the news in real time. So you'll be able to follow along all the breaking news with me on Twitter. I appreciate you watching. Don't forget, you can get on our SMS list. Just get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000. That's 70000. You'll get added to our SMS alerts list. You'll get important news, breaking news from Ignition Time. You can also get on our email list. Simply go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts, and then you'll be able to get on our email list. You can opt out of the SMS list or the email list at any point in time that you want. No worries about that. Also, keep in mind that sometimes YouTube does not always send out notifications on time. So all you have to do is simply bookmark youtube.com/ignition time. That's youtube.com/ignition time. Simply bookmark that and you'll be able to visit the homepage of our channel and check out our videos at any point in time that you want. Please comment below, become a part of our growing community. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Thanks. Bye.